Good morning. My name is Jackie Condor. I am the Coordinated Entry Regional Manager for the Northern Tier, and today I'm going to be showing you how to complete a Coordinated Entry Homelessness Prevention Intake within HMIS. So at this point, you've determined that the household you are currently working with is someone who is at risk or imminent risk of experiencing homelessness. And so they are therefore eligible for a prevention intake within our coordinated entry system. So I have searched for our client in the system, as you've seen in a previous video, by the find client option to ensure that they are or are not in the system. I have found the client that I'm working with in HMIS, and so I'm on their dashboard and ready to complete a prevention intake. As usual, we want to go to the menu button on the client's dashboard and ensure that we are going to the coordinated entry menu option within our side menu bar. Normally for category 1 or category 4 intake, we would be selecting CE homeless intake. But because we are conducting a category 2 prevention intake, we want to make sure that we're selecting the appropriate intake option, CE HP Intake East. So this stands for Coordinated Entry Homeless Prevention Intake. The East is because we are part of the Eastern PACOC. So we're going to select this option here. And similar to our regular assessments, we are going to be prompted to follow up with our DV question. Is this client fleeing a domestic violence situation and requesting an anonymous intake? That should be already responded to based on the opening script that you've already completed with someone. And we just want to know if they are interested in completing an anonymous intake and have their information hidden within the system, or go in as themselves for a public record. Pickled Eggs is not fleeing domestic violence at this time and is not getting an anonymous intake. So we're going to select no. As I previously mentioned, we've already found the client, so we do not need to add a new client to HMIS. We're going to use the current client, Pickled Eggs Fake. Now, at this point, if you were adding a new client, you would be going through the basic client information as described in the full assessment training video, and how you would ask those questions. But because we're already using a client that exists in HMIS, what we want to do at this stage is ensure that the information we have in HMIS is accurate and up to date. So we want to confirm their first and last name and the social security number that we have in the system. We want to confirm their date of birth, as well as their ethnicity, race, and gender. And we want to confirm the veteran status that we currently have in file. So if any of this has changed, for example, we would just make sure that we can click through and edit them accordingly to best represent that client. And because they are someone who is experiencing a category 2 at risk, imminent risk of homelessness intake, we want to confirm the address that we have within the system as well. And so we have this client at 555 Fried Egg Lane in Lock Haven, Clinton County. We want to confirm the phone number that we have on hand here in the system. And we also want to confirm if this phone number is a primary phone and if it's safe to contact or text. And we want to make sure that we select those checkboxes if it is, in fact, safe to contact or text. And then we also want to add any safety contact information if there is anything special that we would need to know. This is especially important if we are adding someone who is fleeing domestic violence, because we want to ensure their safety when a housing provider does reach out to that client. And then our family information, it will always auto default to the household that it was previously. And this person is the head of household for this household in particular. And because they had been entered in previously, it's going to show us the begin date for when they were first added into HMIS. Finish. We always want to make sure that we have the allow sharing selected, otherwise no one can see them in the system. At this page, we have our family members. Here, if they are A new client that we're adding to the system, we want to ask about the family members that are in the household with them and add them at this page. If they are someone who already has family members added, like Pickled Eggs does here, we want to confirm who is going to be in the household with them and whether the information we have for them is accurate as well. So similar to what we did for Pickled Eggs on our first page, we would be going through each family member and ensuring that the information we have for them is also up to date and accurate. If none of these household members are in their household, that's fine. We're just going to confirm Pickled Eggs information and hit save and close. Okay, and here's where we're going to be very, very careful to select the appropriate HUD program enrollment. Under the project dropdown, we want to ensure that we're selecting Connect to Home, Homeless Prevention / Shelter Referrals Only, Category 2. This is important because we are completing a prevention assessment, not a full coordinated entry intake. So we want to make sure that we select the appropriate project. And then you'll see our household members are all listed at the bottom here. If all of those household members are currently living with Pickled Eggs, we can simply check this box and select all of them. If we know that it's only Pickled Eggs in the house right now and the other 3 household members have moved away or are living somewhere else, we can simply select just the head of household here to complete the assessment. And then we can hit save and move to our next page. Now, the rest of these pages that you'll see are essentially identical to a coordinated entry full assessment because we are collecting universal data assessment. So on this page, we're asking this client if they have any disabling conditions. We're going to say no for Pickled Eggs. Our client location is always going to auto default for you because we are in PA 509, the Eastern Pennsylvania COC. Prior living situation. So where did Pickled Eggs stay last night? More often than not, you're going to find that we're in a transitional and permanent housing situation because they are in a category 2 living situation. If they were someone who stayed last night outside on the streets, then you are in the wrong assessment and we should not be doing a homelessness prevention intake. We should be doing a full coordinated entry assessment. If there's someone who is living with someone, doubled up, or in their own rental, then you are in the right assessment. And we want to make sure that we are clicking the appropriate living situation for this client. So a lot of times we'll see rental by client with no ongoing housing subsidy, staying with friends or family in a doubled up or couch surfing situation. But of course, any of these can apply. So we're going to say rental by client, no ongoing housing subsidy. Our follow-up question is, did you stay less than 7 nights in this situation above? If they say yes, then additional questions are going to pop up for us to ask the client. How long have you been in this living situation? So obviously our only 2 options are going to be something that is less than 7 nights. So 1 night or less, or 2 to 6 nights. And on the night before this living situation, did you stay on the streets, emergency shelter, or safe haven? If we say no, there will not be any additional safety questions, or I'm sorry, any additional prompted questions. If we say yes, then there will be, and it will be asking about their homelessness. So approximately when did this homelessness begin? And we have our calendar that we can select a date. And regardless of where they stayed last night, the number of times that this client has been on the streets, in emergency shelter, or safe haven in the last 3 years, including today, and the total number of months this person or household has been homeless on the streets, emergency shelter, or safe haven in the past 3 years. And we will go through and answer all of those questions according to client response. Now, if this client did not stay there less than 7 nights, there will not be additional prompted questions. It's just going to ask us how long have they been in that living situation. So we're going to say 90 days or more, but less than a year. And of course, as per usual, we do not have to answer our health insurance question because that is not a response that's required for coordinated entry. And we will hit save and move on to our next page. Our next page is more streamlined for us. So this is our coordinated entry events. At this point is where we can add a prevention referral to any homelessness prevention projects in the county that this client is living in. So we are going to say add new in our top right corner here. And it will pop up our CE services that you should already be familiar with, or maybe you aren't if you're a new specialist. So the date of the event is always going to be the day that you're actually doing the referral. It will autofill for you. The event type. Event type, we're going to select either referral to prevention assistance project if we're referring them to a project that is for all household types, or referral to SSVF if they are a veteran who is needing a referral to an SSVF provider. This person, we did change that, I think, at the beginning, that they are actually not a veteran, so we're not going to do a referral to SSVF, but we will do a referral to prevention assistance project. And we'll see that we are the provider as Connect to Home. And we're going to skip down to refer to provider. Here we want to click on this little magnifying glass. And you can see here we have a list of client county preference. We want to make sure that we go ahead and select Clinton County since that's where they are currently staying and not any of these other counties since they're currently housed in Clinton County. And what you'll find is that a list of providers pop up who serve that Clinton County specifically. And so we can select this project to send those referrals to. So because I am in the live system, I am not going to select this so that that provider does not have a referral come through for a paid client, but you would see that would show up here. And then we would want to select referral email authorized. And when we hit save, the next page will pop up an auto-filled email box for us to send to that provider. And we will have finished this workflow. So I'm going to click cancel so that I don't send to that referral. And if we hit save after that, it will finish our workflow. And once we click finish, it will take us back to Pickled Eggs dashboard. And we can see that we have a category 2 homeless prevention shelter referrals intake listed on their dashboard, start date of today. If we had completed those CE events, we would see our referral listed here on the right-hand side. And then we would go ahead and add our intake notes per usual at the end of this intake. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask any of your coordinated entry regional managers.